South Point is also proud to provide a variety of relaxing amenities for the guests who want to be pampered. Soak up the sun and let your stress melt away in our lagoon-style paradise swimming pool. A relaxing getaway where you can bask in the desert sun and enjoy seasonal food and bar service poolside. And if you really want to escape, come to Spa Costa del Sur. From couple suites to a co-ed wet area, our spa caters to business and leisure travelers who want to unwind and elevate their senses. A visit to one of our spa's steam, sauna, or whirlpool treatment rooms will leave any guest feeling like they can take on the world. Our gaming amenities include over 60 table games and over 2,600 of the most popular slot and video poker machines. We have penny slots, including the popular Buffalo games, and real machines like Wheel of Fortune, Triple Sevens, and Megabucks. If you prefer video poker, try Deuces Wild, Double Double Bonus, or a variety of multi-denomination games. Or try your hand at one of the most popular casino table games in the world, Blackjack. Don't let the game intimidate you. Blackjack, also known as 21, is both easy and fun. And our dealers are always happy to assist. And the best part? Blackjack always pays 3 to 2. Next, check out the roulette tables. Roulette is one of the easiest casino games to learn, and so much fun to play. It's a favorite of both beginners and seasoned players. In addition to blackjack and roulette, our casino pit features over 60 popular table games like Baccarat, Pai-Gow Poker, 3-Card Poker, Ultimate Texas Hold'em, and Mississippi Stud. So get out of your room and come join in the fun.
Here we go. Big day. It begins. Our first college basketball conference tournament starts today, just 2 weeks away from Selection Sunday. And then all of the madness we'll have you covered here on Sports by the Book. We are live from the South Point Hotel and Casino in the South Point studio. I'm Alex White. Excited to break down the college basketball slate with you here today. And of course, we will get to some hockey, a big game in the association between the Clippers and the Lakers. Maybe preview that one as well, but I will be alongside professional sports bettor and my dad, Kenny White. We're going to bring him in remotely. Now, it's a crazy time right now. 364 men's basketball teams. You're also doing women's, and now college baseball starts up as well. Are you getting any sleep, Dad?
Hey, hi, Alex. Good morning. Trying to, but I get up early every single morning now, so it's been rough, But and I think of my friend Brian Blessing. God bless him. Passed away. Brian would always say when he saw the papers on my desk, he's like, they had to cut down 8,000 trees to print all that paper out for you, and I got papers everywhere because I like to see it. I like to print it out. I like to write on it. And I like to get the feel for the game that way. So I've done that for all sports. I've got my pages on my women's basketball, and my pages on the baseball games today, in the NCAA and the NHL. So there's pages everywhere off my desk on every sport going on. There are 2 games right now that tipped off at 9 a.m. in the American, and I did make a play on Charlotte plus 9.5. Just basically a revenge factor game. I thought it was just a little bit too high with same season home revenge.
Okay, very good. So yes, Charlotte, East Carolina tipping off right now. Looks like the closing number for the South Point was 10 on East Carolina, total 140.5. And then that next game that is getting started, Florida Atlantic and South Florida. A little bit of a disappointing year for FAU. Very good offensively, struggled defensively. So we'll keep you updated on those 2, and maybe if we have any in-game betting opportunities there for those 2. So looking for points there with Charlotte. Home revenge, lost at home 75-59 against East Carolina earlier this year. Very good. Okay, so we will go through the college basketball slate in order from the rotation number, and then we will get to the 2 games because we do have conference starting today. ASUN with 2 games going on the board, and then we will get to hockey and maybe even some women's college basketball or college baseball. You'll give us some picks there. Looking for my updated odds right now. Screen's a little bit slow this morning, but let's get started on the first game after the 9 a.m. games. We're going to the Missouri Valley Conference here. Southern Illinois and Indiana State. Now, for the Missouri Valley Conference, we might find some great opportunities here today because we do have, this is the final game, the final slate for these teams. Indiana State, 2-point favorite at home, and the total 156.5. Any differences for your lines? Anything you like in this one? The first game of the year between these two.
Yeah, it is the first game of the year between these two, Alex. And my numbers are right there, 2.5 and 157. Now, I will say this, and I didn't get a chance to research this yet, but I was reading, I mentioned early last week about another site that you received their emails, and the three things that they were talking about that home teams do well. The end of the year, the home teams are at their strongest. Another one, more games go over than under. And for some reason yesterday, it clicked for me when I was looking at a lot of very high scoring games. One of my favorite days of the year always had been the final day of the NBA. And for a couple reasons, the season's over. Now we're going to the playoffs. But it's always seemed like no one played defense the final day of the regular season, and the games would go flying over. When I saw a lot of scores yesterday, very, very high, I feel like that's the same way now because you start to put it in your mind, conference tournaments start next week. We need to really play defense. Same thing in the NBA. This game means nothing. It's the end of the year, but we start the playoffs. We got to ratchet the defense up. Everyone knows defense wins these games. So this is the time of year you might find some teams that aren't really enthused about playing defense because they know they got to play defense next week.
So what are we thinking for this one? I mean, we do have Indiana State, which is top 20, maybe top 10 in pace and possessions per game, sitting here at 156.5. So now you're kind of missed the best of the number. Saw 155.5 yesterday. Is this one of those games we can take the over?
Yeah, it may be. We have to make sure that it is a meaningless game. I was trying to update my conference standings before I got on, and my computer was running slow. But looking at the conference, top 4 get a bye. All 12 are in the field. So with the top 4 getting a bye, these two teams, it is a meaningless game. They're both in the bottom 8 of the conference, so it is a very meaningless game. This game could go flying over, you're right, because Indiana State loves to run. Well, Southern Illinois runs as well. They're both very fast. Indiana State, 20-8 over on the year. Over at home has not been as strong. It's been their road games that have gone over this year mainly. But I would say this will be one of those type of games that who wants to play defense here?
I like it. Let's move to the next one on the board. We've got the Metro Atlantic here between Iona and Canisius. Canisius has had a rough year here, 3-14 in conference play. They're catching 5.5 at home, total 143. I like something in this game. I'll let you start it off, though, and where did your numbers fall for this one?
Yeah, I made Iona 7.5. They won the first game this year. They are 5th in the conference standings right now, a half a game behind St. Mary's. So that's something we have to take a look at.
They are tied right now.
Top 5 do get a bye, though. And I probably have to double check that as well. But I believe the top 5 get a bye. They're only a half a game up on Manhattan and Sacred Heart. So many games left in this conference. There are 2 games left. Some teams have 3 games left. So I lean to Iona, but I like the game over the total. Pace-wise, I don't really have any good numbers pace. Both teams have trended over for the year, 16-13 and 16-12 over for the season. My numbers say over. I don't think there's a lot to play for Canisius in this game, but Iona has a little bit to play for, trying to get into that top 5.
I agree. That's why I do like Iona in this. I'm glad that you made it 7.5 as well. Not giving any revenge or any extra for the home team there. So I'm going to lay the 5.5 here with Iona because I think they want to keep their top 5 spot and even go for that top 4 because we do need to double check that. I was thinking it was top 4 get a bye where they'd be even more motivated. But still, definitely the more motivated team in this one. So over for Kenny White in that one, and Iona minus 5.5 for me. Moving to the next game on the board, we're going Conference USA here. Second to last game for these two. We got Kennesaw State on the road playing against Liberty. Liberty is a 9.5-point favorite. The total 140.5. Anything jump outside or total in this one?
I got to go back to that Iona Canisius game, Alex, because I didn't have my stuff updated. And again, I've got women's college basketball and baseball are my main sports right now, and men's falls actually third in the pecking order. But this conference has changed over the years, the Metro Atlantic Athletic. Only the top 10 teams in the conference go to the conference tournament. Wow. And the top 6 teams get a bye. So that really right now puts Iona in the bye and in the tournament. But on the other side, with only the top 10 going, there's 3 teams that will not make it. Canisius is one of those that looks like they're already out. I think they're out.
Yeah, I would agree. Just 3-14 cannot catch Ryder, who is 7-11.
They're 4 games behind Ryder. So Canisius is out. Iona's already in the bye spot. They can't get knocked out. That's a meaningless game. I love it over now with those scenarios for both of those teams. Who on Canisius wants to play defense? They're just going to go have fun the last couple of games of the season. So love that one over.
I'm going to have to follow. That was good, too. That kept me off of Iona because money has been going towards Canisius. They took the 6, and that makes sense now. Iona's comfortably, well, I guess not comfortably. They do have 2 teams that are 9-8 behind them at 2 games to go, but they do have Sacred Heart next, so they actually will face one of those teams, and as long as they win that one, they will definitely be in the top 6 for the bye. So
you're right. You're right. They are being in 5th place and only a half a game up of 2 teams. If they lost this and then to Sacred Heart, Iona's looking at a play-in game. So I just was thinking, hey, they're in the tournament already, but they do have some motivation to play this game. I would definitely look at that. It might be a correlated parlay, Iona to the over.
Very good. Okay. Conference USA, moving to that one where we were talking about the number 1 team. And then we've got Kennesaw State that is tied for 5th right now in that conference. As I mentioned, just 2 more games for these two. Liberty, a pretty big favorite. Looks like that moved down to 9, though, in just that short time we were talking. And the total, 140.5. First game this year for these two. Kennesaw State did lose at home last year, 76-68. So if we want to put a little bit of home revenge for them, but can't give them too much. Total moving up, though, 140.5. I think other people are kind of onto these meaningless games and taking the overs.
Yeah, it's another one that I'd have to really take a really close look at here and see where these teams are at. With 10 teams now in the conference, they used to have 9. Conference USA. Kennesaw State, as you mentioned, 8-8, right in the middle of the pack right now. And Liberty with just a 1-game lead, a 1-game lead in the loss column, basically, and a half-game lead over Middle Tennessee State. Looks like with 3 games left, every game becomes big because Middle Tennessee is right there, and they play them next. I think it's a game that Liberty is motivated, but you have to give the revenge factor. So I made it 6.5. I do lead to Kennesaw, but I think there may be more motivation for Liberty, maybe double motivation for each team. So I'm not really interested in betting that one over. I don't know if that's the right spot. Liberty, a very good defensive team, and both these teams actually far better defensively. And that's the one thing I'd have to say. If you're looking for overs late in the season, let's make sure the team's identity isn't defense. And Liberty, it's defense. That's their identity. They're going to play defense no matter what. That's what their coach demands. And so is probably Kennesaw State because they're better defensively. So I lean to the under, and both teams have trended under this year. Kennesaw 17-9 under, Liberty 15-10 under, and at home Liberty is 8-3 to the under. So I trend to the under here myself.
I think you could confidently take the points as well, because I just pulled up the Conference USA bracket. 8 and 9 will play each other, 7 and 10 in the first round. So 1 through 6 all get a bye, and Kennesaw State's sitting right there in the sixth seed. They have Liberty and then Jacksonville State up next. So they don't want to play a game. They want to. Oh wow, they play 1 and 2. That's a tough schedule to finish the year for Kennesaw State, but I can understand taking the points there and the under. I'm glad you brought that up. Conference USA, it seems like a lot of those teams, their identity is more on the defensive side.
There's no doubt about it, and especially the Liberty team with Richie McKay. He's always been a solid defensive coach, and they're a top 40 defensive team. So when you're that good defensively, I just don't think you let up. And you said there's still a couple games left in the season for these teams. So there are, seeding is very important here for both of these teams. So yeah, I like it under that number.
Let's go to a very important Big Ten matchup here. Michigan State and Michigan both fighting for a regular season Big Ten championship there. Michigan State 4.5 at home against Wisconsin. The total is 146. Looks like it's 146.5 now, so a little bit to the over here. Anything in this one? Wisconsin won both last year versus Michigan State. Don't really give the home team revenge, so any feel or difference?
This is really such a big game. A great season by both teams. We kind of expect that year in and year out of Tom Izzo and his teams get it done, but these two teams have combined to go 36-18 covering the spread, 67%. Wow. They're just both winners. They both are very solid offensively, both very solid defensively too. These are two really good teams. These always been pretty good rivals between these two, in the state of Michigan and Wisconsin. My numbers are Michigan State 4.5 and 142. I just said, I talked about overs in a lot of these games. Man, these two teams are just so good. This total did come down a little bit, thank goodness, down to 146. So I don't have as big a difference now. I was looking at it under, but I'm not going to bet it under. I'm just going to pass. That's a game just to watch, that the teams are that good. And the point spread and total are that tight on this game.
Very interesting down the stretch here. Both Michigan State and Michigan 14-3, 2 games up from Wisconsin, who is a half a game up from Purdue and Maryland in that 3 seed. So very important for them. But Michigan State, they have Wisconsin today, then they have Iowa, and then they finish out the season against Michigan, where they will host that game. Of course, they did get the first win against Michigan on the road. So fun to watch, and we'll keep you updated on that throughout the week and give you our best bets in that. Looks like they took the hook here at the South Point. Michigan State now 4, total 146.5. I will give you an update on those games going on as well. FAU 16-6 over South Florida in that matchup. I'll have to check on that first. Charlotte.
Sounds like a high scoring start.
Very high scoring. 13:40 to go in the first half. Charlotte 10-8 over East Carolina. So taking the points with the dog there. Yeah. Looking pretty good. All right. So moving on to Northern Iowa and Bradley, Missouri Valley. Last game. Every team will be in action today. So we'll go through each of these games and really do a deep dive to see where there are some advantages. Bradley, a 4-point favorite at home, the total 141. I'm looking at Northern Iowa in this one because these two are tied for second right now. Very meaningful for both of them. Want to look at their identities. I wonder if this could be an underplay as well. Even though the first time they played, it was pretty high scoring, 152. Northern Iowa won the first one, 83-69. I just think with these two playing at tied for second right now, you'd want to take the points with either side here. And I think that that's a little aggressive on Bradley as a 4-point favorite. What did you make this game?
Yeah, I agree with you. I only Bradley a half a point favorite. I think Northern Iowa is the better team, and it'll be a fun game. I normally would say let's bet this game under, and my total is lower, but I'm going to pass betting the total just because it's nice to say you were second, but it's not really that big a deal. I mean, they're playing each other for second here, but it's not life or death. These two teams know they need to win the conference tournament. I think where they're going to show effort is going to be on the offensive end. And both these teams very, very good offensively. So I think they're going to just go up and down the court. They're not going to run. They're going to take their time, set up for a good shot, and probably score. So I'm gonna bet the game. I'm not betting the total. I'm just passing. I'm not betting it over because I can't go against my number. But I'm gonna bet Northern Iowa plus the 4 in this game.
Of course, Bradley will be happy if they win by 1, and this could come down to the very end. So I do think that there is value taking the points, and now we're getting an even better number than when I was looking at 3.5 earlier today. All right, let's go to Metro Atlantic here. Sacred Heart favorite at home, 6.5 against Fairfield, total 149.5. We do have some home revenge in this one. Fairfield lost at home 77-71.
Yeah, we do. And need to make sure that where Fairfield's at with St. Peter's in that conference, those teams are pretty close, I think, to that final drop-off point. Let's see here. Fairfield, 2-game lead. 2-game lead with 3 to go. So I got to believe Fairfield knows they haven't clinched. Sacred Heart on the other side has clinched. They are in the conference tournament. I think all the motivation is on the Fairfield side, and with that revenge factor, yeah, give me the points with Fairfield here.
All right, taking the 6.5. So you said 2 are left out, right? They are taking the top 10.
Three teams are left out.
3 teams are left out. Okay, so yeah.
And Fairfield's won 2 in a row, Alex. They beat Ryder and Mount St. Mary, so seems like they're getting a little bit of momentum coming down the end of the season and stretch run here. So, what is that line right now at the South Point?
6.5.
That's nice. I think that's about where the market's at. It's pretty much 6.5 everywhere. So, yeah, I'll take Fairfield plus 6.5. I found a really good game yesterday. Campbell plus 7 against College of Charleston. And College of Charleston had nothing to play for, and Campbell had a chance to finish in the top 4 and get a bye. Well, I guess College of Charleston did have something to play for. They could have finished in that tie for 4th spot. So I just thought it was a bigger game for Campbell, though, and College of Charleston blew them out. That can happen here because Sacred Heart is the better basketball team. These are 2 bad teams, but Sacred Heart is the better team. But I think Fairfield has far more to play for here, and I don't think Sacred Heart has anything to play for in this one.
I like it. And we've been, really following this for weeks now, looking at the conferences down the stretch and the desperate teams, and it's worked out well for us. So I think that these are strong plays here. Let's keep it in the same conference. Mount St. Mary's 2.5 point favorite at home here, and the total, let me double check the current line so I don't mess it up. 2-point favorite at home, total 142. I highlighted Mount St. Mary's in this one because they're trying to keep their 4 seed. And Siena right now, 8 out of 12. So looking at the favorite in this one, have not decided if I'm going to bet it. Siena did win at home the first time by a pretty hefty margin here. 82-68 was that first game on January 23rd.
Yeah, these are 2 pretty evenly matched teams in talent. St. Mary's top 6, remember, get a bye now in this conference. So they are only 1 game up of 7th place. So they do want to finish in that top 6. There's motivation for them. Siena is a game out of 6th place. So I think there's a lot to play for both teams here. And my total is lower. I only made it 137. I'm going to go under in this game. Siena kind of scares me. They're 19-9 over this year. Very surprising. I don't know how they've done that with a slow pace and a really bad offense. So Mount St. Mary's is a better defensive team. Siena is 6-6 over under on the road. So that means they're 13-3 over in their home games, Siena. So at least they're not at home here. That's a good thing. But I'll go under there, under that 142.5.
So important game for both of them. I guess you are right though. More for Siena, and keeping that spot, but should be interesting. Okay, I am glad that you brought that up because I did not see that about the top 6 getting the double bye. Moving to the next game on the board, we've got Niagara at home against Manhattan, staying in the same conference here. Right now, Niagara is going to be bumped out of this conference championship at just 5-12. Manhattan comfortably in there at 9-8. So Manhattan 1.5 on the road, total 142.5.
Well, Niagara's fighting for their life because they still can get in. They're only a game and a half out of playing in the tournament with 3 games to go. So very important game for them. They have lost 4 in a row after they had a nice little 3-1 streak. Was their best streak of the year, 3-1. But they've lost the last 4. This is a tough travel from Manhattan all the way to Niagara. Always is. At 8-8, Niagara is fighting to getting the bye, the top 6. So big game for both teams. My numbers don't really have a play here. I made Manhattan 1 and 141, so nothing I can play for. But I do think both teams are motivated.
Just want to check in with the chat really quick since we are about halfway through the show. But thank you for being with us and jumping in with Patty, Dave Clark, Dean Hilt, and Wagon Sports. Thank you very much. And please, if you are watching live, jump in as well.
DC's in the house. Good to see you, David. I haven't talked to you for a while. Need to get together soon. One of my Western Warrior buddies. We played Little League together, me and David.
Very good. Love
DC.
Love that. And appreciate them watching us live. Anybody else who is watching?
Nick Bogdanovich. Everybody knows Nick Bogdanovich in the industry. So a lot of big names. Stormy Bon Anthony's dad, Rich, was part of that group too. So a lot of us sports guys that played baseball together as kids now in the sports betting industry.
Probably betting on your Little League games back then. Let's keep it going here. We've got more to get to. We've got St. Peter's and Marist here. 3.5, total 122.5. Really looking at the conferences. St. Peter's, we've been talking about them fighting for their lives. They are the worst offense in the conference, but they do have a pretty good defense. Is that enough to keep them in this one? The first time these two played, 56-51. So it was a very low-scoring game. Are we going under again?
Going under again, Alex. St. Peter's right now on the outside looking in, 1.5 games out with 3 to go. They need to win, and that's their identity is defense, defense, defense. They play slow. Marist is identical. They play slow, very weak offensive team, but defense is their specialty. Amazing that I guess their totals are just so low. Neither one have a big trend to the under. St. Peter's 12-12 this year. Marist is 14-12 to the under. 8-5 under in their home games. But it's just amazing. These two are identical. They play slow. They're very weak offensively, and their defense is their identity of their team. So love this under the total. It has come down just a little bit already, but under 122 for me.
Under 122.5. We're getting the hook here. That is going to make my whiteboard as well. Let's jump to the Ivy League. I have not looked up this conference and the tournament, so hopefully you have Princeton and Cornell. Right now, these two are tied for third. I do know that, though. So Cornell is a 4.5-point favorite at home. The total is 156. Do you know how the standings or how the bracket will go for this Ivy League?
Yeah, this is just a little history for you, Alex, that the Ivy League used to never have a championship game. They were one of the few conferences without a conference tournament. So the winner of the league would go to the NCAA tournament, would receive the automatic bid. They were the one team or the one conference that the regular season meant so much. They kind of caved, I guess, on the last, I think it's been 8-9 years now. The top 4 teams play in the conference tournament.
That's
so
right.
You got to win 2 games. So looking at these two right now, Princeton has a 1.5 game lead over Brown and Harvard for that 4 spot. And Cornell, same thing. So both these teams, it's a must win for both these teams.
Yep.
And Princeton does have that home revenge. They lost at home. So when I adjust my Cornell number from 5 down to 2.5, there's still no play, and my total's right there. Cornell loves to play up tempo, one of the fastest teams in the country, and they are far better offensively than they are on the defensive end. But with this game having so much meaning, I would lean to the under. And Princeton has been 9-2 under on the road this year, 16-8 under overall. They're not the same type of Princeton team they used to be, where they played that Princeton offense and they ran the shot clock as deep into the count as they could. Princeton is the reason for the 30-second clock, and maybe North Carolina as well, Alex. North Carolina and Dean Smith used to play 4 corners when they got the lead. When it was late in the game and they had the lead, they would play a man in all 4 corners and a player in the middle around the free throw line, and they would pass the ball around and they would run the clock as long as they could because there was no shot clock. They could run 2, 3, 4 minutes off the clock. Well, Princeton played the same way every single possession. They didn't play a 4 corners. They just ran through their motion offense, and they could run 30, 40, 50 seconds off the clock each possession. And their games back then were played in the 40s. And then when the shot clock came around, Pete Carroll was a great coach and still very smart. His team still ran that shot clock deep into the count, and his games initially had to go up, obviously, but they still played their games in the high 50s and low 60s. But it seems the last couple of years, Mitch Henderson, who did play at Princeton and knows the Princeton offense, has gone to a more up-tempo style.
But so lean to the points here because it is a must-win for both of them, and you've got a 2-point difference, but not enough to make it a play.
Is it? Well, I after I adjust down to 2.5. I guess there are 4.5 there. There has been some money for for Cornell today. I would be interested in taking 5 in this game because I know it's going to be a close game. It's such a big game for both teams. And again, you said it earlier, if they win by 1, they'll celebrate like they won the Super Bowl. So if Cornell just gets by in this game and wins it, they'll be extremely happy.
So with those 4 corners in North Carolina, were those great underplays? You could count on them getting a big enough lead? Yeah,
their games didn't come as high as other teams because they would start playing 4 corners with, I'm going to guesstimate 6-7 minutes to go in the game. If they were up 10, they would run that 4 corners just to run as much time off the clock as they could. And that changed the game of basketball to the shot clock.
Quick update here. Florida Atlantic 23. Oh, we just had a score. 3-pointer. 23-19 over South Florida. And Charlotte still with the lead. 17-14 over East Carolina. So no end game for us. You like Charlotte getting the points, and you're not getting a good number now with them actually having the lead, but looking like a good bet for you in that one. Okay, let's keep it going here. I think this might be our last Metro Atlantic game. Quinnipiac and Merrimack, 2 of the top 3 teams, go head-to-head. Quinnipiac did win the first one, 81-76, so it was a very competitive game between these two. Now looking at the line, 1.5 for the road favorite, and the total 141.5.
Yeah, Quinnipiac playing for first place, 14-3, having a great year. I made Merrimack a 0.5 point, and I gave full home court for Merrimack just 3 points. It's not that strong of a home court, but it's a tough game. Merrimack's had a really good year as well. But I'll tell you the one thing, looking at their schedule, Merrimack has lost 4 of the last 5 games. They were in first place. They did lose to Quinnipiac early in the year. Let's see what the Bobcats have done. The Bobcats of Quinnipiac have won 4 straight now. They have been more consistent throughout the year, and I think they are no, they're not the better defensive team. I thought they were, but wow, both of these teams, their identity is their defense. I hope I have an underplay on it. I do not. I made it 142.5. This game opened up 137.5 yesterday in faraway places and was bet up to 140.5.
Wow.
So I don't have a bet on it. I think I would have liked to have had it under, just the fact that both these teams play such great defense. Both these teams are, they're playing for the top, being the top dog in the conference. So bragging rights, seeding rights, and all of that. This is a big game for both teams. I could see this game going under the total, even though I did make it 142.5. It's up to 141.5. Been a lot of money for the over. Now I didn't look. Again, you always got to go back and look at current form and how these teams are playing. Well, Quinnipiac is running like crazy.
Yes.
They're running every game, their possessions, 84, 77, 71, 74. A lot of possessions each game. And the game against Merrimack, the first one was 52 possessions. So Quinnipiac just played St. Peter's, who we know plays completely slow, and they forced them into 74 possessions that game. Merrimack is a team who doesn't really play that fast. They're going to play in the 60s as well, possession-wise. I don't know. I don't know.
Difference of styles here, because Merrimack plays slow and transition defense, and like you said, Quinnipiac wants to run. They want to. So
they're running more than ever right now. Quinnipiac. They're playing very, very fast. They're probably using their defense. They're probably creating turnovers. They're playing a little pressure. Yeah. But yeah, you're right. Merrimack forces you deep into the shot clock, and that's what they're going to try to do this game. They're going to try to limit possessions here. Yeah, I Merrimack at home, 11-1 under at home.
Wow.
11-1 under this year in their home games. They really can control pace. They didn't control the pace the first time they played against this team. 72 possessions, and in a high-scoring game, 156. I don't think it comes that high this time, but I'm not betting it because I'm not gonna force a play. My numbers just don't say it's there. I wish my numbers did say it was an under, but it just doesn't, because Quinnipiac is a very high-scoring team.
I'm pretty confident we are going to find a couple plays within these next 4 games, all from Missouri Valley.
Let me go back. Let me just mention this one, Alex. That game, when you have two teams that play that type of style, different styles, like we did last night in Gonzaga and San Francisco, and I kept saying early in the week I was going to make a big bet on San Francisco. I ended up making the Zags 13, and they were only 10. Bet down to 9, so I didn't bet them. I bet the game under the total, thinking San Francisco could control the pace. And when I first looked, I couldn't believe how high the halftime score was, and the Zags had a big lead. And I said, well, the only way I can win this total is if San Francisco gets back in the game early in the second half and they play defense and they shut the Zags down. That didn't happen in the first 4 minutes. I think the Zags scored 12. It might have been 12-8 in the first 3 minutes of the second half. And I said, this game's going to go flying over. So I actually bet it in-game over. I took a chance because I could have gotten middled, but I was fortunate not enough to get middled. The Zags put up 95, and the game did go over the in-game total. This game right here, if it's close and low early, and you can still get under a number of around 140, I think it would be a good bet. If Quinnipiac gets out to a big lead, 10, 12 points in the first half, and they're gonna force Merrimack to run with them. So if it's close, Merrimack controls the pace. If it's a blowout by Quinnipiac controls the pace.
Another game yesterday that we saw this was Alabama and Tennessee, and that game did stay under the total. Final was 155 between those two. Of course, Tennessee did have a buzzer beater to get the win at home, 79-76. But it seemed like Tennessee
it was a close game, and it ended up being Tennessee's
pace
in the game. So if Alabama was able to get a little bit of a lead and force Tennessee to play catch up, and they got to play faster, and you get more possessions in the game, you got a better opportunity of getting that over. It barely went under. I think it went under by like 3 points.
Yeah. Iowa State too. Very good game against Arizona, forced them in a slower pace there. But let's keep it going here. We are going to Missouri Valley, last game for all of these teams here. We're starting off with Drake, 14.5 at home, total 121.5. Both of these two teams like to play very, very slow. Right now, Missouri State is 12th, and Drake is number 1. Meaningless game for Drake, though, really, because they're a few games up. So curious what we want to do with this one.
Well, it's meaningless for Drake. They've already clinched the conference championship, and so Drake has clinched number 1, and Missouri State has clinched number 12.
Yeah, and it's a play-in game for them, right?
What's that?
I believe 11 and 12 will have like a play-in game for Missouri Valley.
Let me look real quick and see if I have that updated.
No, it's not. It's just 1 through 4 get a bye.
1 through 4 get a bye, yes.
Yes.
So it's a completely meaningless game. And I thought it was going to be an underplay for me because I made it way under the total. But with nothing to play for in this game, the coaches may let loose on their reins a little bit and let these two play a little bit more up-tempo in this game. So it looks like a classic under game, but with no meaning. This is basically a scrimmage game for both teams. So I'm passing the total. I with revenge factor for Missouri State, I'm supposed to take the points with Missouri State here. I guess I can do that.
I can help make a case as well, because as bad as Missouri State has been, they lost at home in overtime to the best team in the conference in Drake.
Well, so that gives them a little confidence.
Yeah.
And I did see yesterday that site that I was talking about that talked about how, home teams do well late in the year. The games go over late in the year. They did put something out again yesterday on trends of away teams getting 10 or more that lost the first game at home were horrible straight up. But they were actually about 67% covering the spreads. So this game falls into that category. I'm definitely betting Missouri State, but a 1% bet. It's just a small bet.
There was one game looking at women's college basketball yesterday, and you had given me a few in-state rivals, and Texas Tech was not, but they won outright in that conference game. I just saw BYU catching that many points against Utah, and I was very tempted. I just thought that has to be such a big rivalry there. They will get up for that game. They forced overtime. I don't know if you had anything or just stayed away from that one, but they were getting double digits, and I thought that was way too many. But
again, knowing the proximity of those teams and those rivals, that's only about an hour drive from Provo to the campus of Utah. So you're going to get fans, and BYU has fans all over the state. So my game might have been at BYU. I don't know. But those type of games, there really isn't any home court, because there's no travel, basically. You're not getting on an airplane, packing your bags. You're getting on a bus, driving an hour, getting out and playing, and then you're going back to your, wherever you live, if it's in the dorm or if you got a house off campus. So those type of games, home court is not as valuable because there's no travel advantage for either team. So that's game. I wish I would have taken a look at that a little bit closer. You're right. I would have loved to have the dog there.
Let's keep it going here in Missouri Valley. So we've got Illinois State 11 at home, total 143. Now, Illinois State is 5th right now in the conference. Do they have an opportunity to sneak up and get that 4 seed? No, they don't.
Top 4 get a bye. They do not. Yep. No chance.
So there we go.
Not even close. Not even close.
And we've got 3 right there.
Another meaningless game. Let's see, identity-wise. Identity, Illinois State's all overs. 20-9 to the over this year. They're great offensively. This game could be up tempo, a fun game to watch. And it's meaningless, so I'm going to go over.
And I said 9. They are 11 at home. I must have been looking at my own number there. Over for you in that one at 143. Let's keep it going here. Illinois, Chicago, 6-point favorite at home against Valpo. Total 155. Again, really meaningless for both of these teams. They're both in the conference tournament, but both have to play in the first round.
Yeah, this one I'd love over even more because both teams' identities, their offense, both teams run. First one came 155. Where's this total at right now? It has gone up 154.5. I love it over.
I do as well. I'm going to add that to the whiteboard. So Valpo, Illinois, Chicago going over 155, unless you can find a 154.5 still out there. And then keeping it going here with Belmont and Murray State. We've got Belmont, a 3-point favorite, total 150.5, another high total for the Missouri Valley Conference. Especially, I think it's another meaningless game here. Yes, it is. Well, yeah, Belmont is locked into that 4 seed, so very meaningless. Murray State lost at home. They do have revenge, 95-77 on January 25th. We want to make a case for the dog or make a case for another over here at 150.5.
Yeah, I would like to make a case for the over because I do with Belmont every time they play. One of the fastest teams in the country that is great offensively, and they don't stop anybody on the defensive end. So, being a meaningless game, the first one was 95-77. Belmont lost. Let's see if Belmont can put up 95 in this one, just for fun. These teams can play today. There's not that much motivation to play defense here. And everybody loves to play offense. So when you get up tempo and you get these scenarios, they're always very, very good plays.
Going back to the Big Ten here, another big game on the board. I brought up the fact that Michigan and Michigan State are both tied right now, playing for the regular season. And Michigan will host Illinois in this one. Illinois coming off a good win over Iowa that they really needed, 81-61 after going on a nice 3-game losing streak. Michigan is a 3.5-point favorite at home. And the total is 161. So there you have the standings right there, 14-3 for both the Spartans and the Wolverines. The Badgers sitting there half a game above Purdue and Maryland. And then Illinois, where are they? How far have they fallen? To 7, 10-8 in Big Ten play. Kind of a disappointing year. Illinois loves to run, 18th quickest in the country, and Michigan loves to run as well, out of the top 50, but still 60th in the country in possessions per game. Illinois won both last year, so Michigan might be motivated in this one to get the win as well. Of course, they have to stay up there with Michigan State if they get the win today over Wisconsin.
So, but Big Ten top 4 get a double bye, and the next top nine teams get a bye. And remember, the bottom 3 teams are out.
Yes.
Neither team falls into that category, but so Michigan playing for first place basically in the conference with 3 to go. They're playing hard. Illinois right now. How many teams? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 8 and 10 is Ohio State at 10th. Illinois has a 2-game lead with 3 to go. I don't think they're fighting for the bye right now. They did get a win. They kind of changed. They played a little better defense against Iowa. They slowed that game. That was kind of a very surprising final score to see. Yeah. 81-61 in a game that we thought would be very high tempo game. 67 possessions. That's crazy. The Illini previous 2 games, 75 possessions against Duke and 72 against Wisconsin. I think this game is going to be an up-tempo game because of the Illini. So my total 167. I like it over. It was 159 the last I looked. I'm not sure what it is now.
161 here at the South Point. There is a 160.5. That's about the best number that you could still get from a Vegas book.
Yeah, well, so at least it moved the right way. Both teams play fast. This is Dusty May come up from Florida. I think it was at Florida Atlantic, and he has just had this team playing at a high up-tempo, octane offense. And they both play good defense. They both are really good defenses. They're going to have to shoot the ball well, but I really don't think there's a ton to play for here. I think both of these teams are in the NCAA tournament. Maybe the Illini needs a win. This would be a signature win. This win would get them over the hump, but I'm not playing the side. I made Michigan 4. Think the number's about right, but 161. I'm going over the worst of the number now. This might be a game I pass and look to play in game today. I'll see if they get off to a very slow start, and then maybe jump in game if I can get something over. I like to get at least a 10-point difference in a lot of these games when I do that, Alex. So if I see 151.
Yeah.
At any point, I'm going to go over. That means they can't. They haven't made a shot. It's just they will start to fall sooner or later.
This will be an interesting one to watch. We've talked about it all week long with Michigan and how they have found a way to win these very close games. So here with a 3.5, we'll see if they can cover this spread, or like you said, if Illinois is trying to get a statement win here over a top 15 team. So there should be some in-game opportunities for sure in this one. Let's go to the Big 12. Only Big 12 matchup on the board. Kansas State at home hosting Colorado. Colorado currently the bottom of the Big 12, 16 of 16. Kansas State sitting at the 11 seed. They're laying 6.5 at home. The total 141. Somehow I missed this one. I don't know if these two have played already this year.
They have not.
First game for these two?
Yeah, first time they played this year. And let me find for you real quick, see if they played last year. Sure they did. Well, no, they didn't, because Colorado was in the Pac-12 last year. So they did not play last year. First meeting between these two teams. They don't know a lot about each other. And it's the first time Colorado is headed to Manhattan, Kansas, which could be a very tough place to play. Colorado, what a bad year. Tad Boyle had such a great team last year, 26-11. And this year, they just can't win. They had a great year in the Pac-12. Wow. But welcome to the Big 12. Without a really good basketball team has been tough. 3 games to go. And they are at Kansas State this game, and they do go to Lubbock, Texas on Wednesday. Love to know if these teams fly back home or if they would just fly to Lubbock after this game. I don't know. Not a lot to play for Colorado. They're just basically playing out the season.
I see a tweet here that Coleman Hawkins is unlikely to go again after missing the last 2 games for Kansas State. But, I mean...
That's big. That's big, losing one of your top guys. Kansas State's lost 4 in a row as well. Boy, these are 2 teams that are really unraveling. Now, my numbers, I made the game 8, Kansas State 8. I don't want to bet them now without Hawkins. I'd have to adjust that down to 6. My total just 131. Both teams have trended to the under this year. Both teams have trended to the under home and away. Colorado 5-2 under on the road. Kansas State 8-5 under at home.
Both teams
neither
better
team really
defense.
runs. Yeah, neither team really runs. Colorado defense has been their only calling card this year. It's been the offense that's hurt them. So I'm going to go under there. I'll go under that total.
I agree. I do think that 141 is a little too high for these two. I'm glad you brought that up too, because I was watching that Arizona Iowa State, and they were talking about how that was Arizona's first time playing in Ames and how tough it was. So yeah, Kansas State as well should be a tough task for the Buffalo here. Let's go to another American game here with Memphis and UAB. That just reminded me to check the scores of the games that are going on right now. Well, we've still got a FAU leading this one with a minute left to go in the first half, 31-25. And I'll have to get the Charlotte updated score as well. But let's go to Memphis and UAB. This is a big game for these two.
Alex, let's check in game now.
Okay.
Early, I thought it looked like that sounded like it was a high scoring game, Florida Atlantic and South Florida. But it wasn't. In the halftime right now, they're at 56 points. This total closed 154. You're going to need 98 points just to tie in the second half. These two teams are both up-tempo teams, guaranteed. The shots just didn't fall in the first half. I think this game may look like a good over in the second half. The first time they played was 166 points. So I think you're going to get a much higher scoring game in the second half in that one.
Checking the box score right here to see how they are shooting. FAU 43%, but haven't taken many threes, 3 of 7, and 38% from 2. Wow, South Florida really struggling. So you are right, and that is the home team. So we should see that turn around, right? 21%.
That's what the coaches are going to talk about at halftime in that game. Hey, we got to get our offense going. Let's do this. Let's do that. This is what's successful for us. This is what works for us. Make sure we focus on running our offense and running that type of play. So, yeah, the shooting will pick up second half in that game. I like it over.
Okay, and then Charlotte and East Carolina tied at halftime in that other game. Moving to Memphis and UAB, pick 'em here at the South Point, and the total 161.5. I said important game because these are two of the top 3 teams in the American. Both of them like to play at a pretty fast tempo. A lot of possessions per their game. Memphis won at home 100-77, so no revenge there. Anything you like? Any differences in your numbers for this one?
It's amazing. This is a conference of the best and the worst. There's some really bad basketball teams in this conference, but there's some really good teams in this conference. And Memphis obviously has been the class. They are only 1 game up of North Texas and UAB. So big game for both teams. Memphis won the first one 100-77. I made Memphis 1 and 167 here. I'm not going to bet it over, though. Playing for first place is a big deal. And that's the only thing that scares me off. UAB's offense has been great this year. They're great. They take care of the basketball and they hit the offensive boards. They're one of the best offensive rebounding teams in college basketball, and that's how they get their points. Memphis knows that. They're not going to let them get offensive rebounds. That's for sure. They're going to guard a little bit better. And then on the year, though, Memphis has done a poor job. They're one of the weaker teams allowing teams offensive rebounds. Kind of surprising. Memphis shoots the 3 awfully well. But, wow, both teams are playing well. Both teams do like to go up a little up-tempo. I mean, it looks like a recipe for an over game. The first time they played, it went way over, 100-77. I don't know if this one gets there because I think it's going to be close, and it's going to be close late. So I might look at this game and hope they get off to a hot start and this total goes way up and I can bet it under because I think second half teams will talk about defense and the coaches will talk about defense in that game.
You talked about really good teams and really bad teams. Here's 2 of the bottom teams in the American with UTSA and Rice. And these 2 are playing in hopes of not being in the play-in game, right? Because number 12 and number 13 have to play in the first round. And these 2 are very, very close, tied for 11th of 13th. UTSA is a 1.5-point favorite at home, and the total 151.5. Differences from your line in this one?
Yeah, I have Rice with revenge. I made them 3 now and 162. I have to look real quick here. I don't know if either of these teams have a chance. Rice at 4-2, 4-12. I'm sorry, 4-12. 2 games to go. They are 2 games out of that last spot, and Texas San Antonio is a game and a half out of that last spot. And that team, though, that's in front of both of those teams is South Florida. So if South Florida takes the loss today, UTSA would have the same amount of losses, and they could make it up with the wins. But Rice, again, the same. Rice would only be a game out with 2 to go. I think both coaches are telling their players, if we win this game, we have a chance. We have a slight chance. We're still alive at getting out of the play-in game.
Yeah.
So first one was really high scoring. We know Texas San Antonio loves to run. Both teams are far better offensively. Both teams trend to the over. Rice 16-11, Texas San Antonio 15-9. But home and away, different story. Rice is actually 6-4 under. I'm sorry, they're both 6-4 over. They're both 6-4 over in this scenario. So 60% is not bad. I may look to play this over. I don't think they're going to play hard. Do I have a play on Rice that I made him 3?
A little bit. 1.5.
Is that where the money? Oh, no, the 1.5's on Texas San Antonio. I think Rice is the better basketball team. I'll take the 1.5. I got to make sure of one thing, that there's no recent injuries to Rice, if any starters are out. All starters are in for Rice. That's a good thing. And Texas San Antonio, maybe we got a starter out for them. No starters out for either team. I'm gonna play Rice 1% play plus the 1.5, and I am gonna go over 151 for a 1% play. Neither play will make my whiteboard, but I'm gonna play them both.
I like Rice as well. I do think that is a good play there. Catching that 1.5. No, we have 2 more. We have to go to the ASUN first conference tournament starting today. So let's talk about these 2 games quickly. We'll take a 1-minute break. When we come back, we'll talk about some hockey. We'll quickly go through those lines. I believe there's 5 games on the board. And then one more break, then we'll show our whiteboard play. So thanks for sticking around with us. We are going a little bit over today. Sean and Andrew, thank you. We appreciate you guys. Okay, let's go to Stetson and Central Arkansas. So this is weird. 2 teams did get left out of this ASUN conference tournament, the bottom 2 teams, and now they have the 9 and 10 seed playing each other and the 7 and 8. So just how the bracket matches up, this is what we get for today. So Stetson and these games are hosted at home, if I am not mistaken. I believe it is campus sites for the ASUN, so correct me if I am wrong. But Stetson, a 1-point favorite, and the total 140.5. I thought those numbers looked just right. I didn't see anything to really any big differences or to find an edge here, side or total. Did you?
Okay, I'm going to give you, you're right about one thing, that they are on campus sites. However, they are not on those 4 teams' campus sites.
Okay.
So why they match up, 7 plays 8, 9 plays 10 in this conference, that's not normal. In a normal conference tournament, 7 would play 10.
Correct.
8 would play 9. 7 would get an advantage, but in this conference, 7 doesn't get the advantage. And the reason why, the first round is played on the conference sites, but it's only the top 4 teams in the conference that get to play on their home court. So the number 1 seed Lipscomb, one of these games is being played on their home court, and it's the 9 versus 10 game.
Makes sense.
That is being played on their home court.
So really the 1 seed gets the best advantage because they get the winner of the 9-10.
Right. So, the 1 seed gets the winner of the 9-10. So Central Arkansas and Stetson are playing at Lipscomb today.
Okay.
So they don't have to travel. The winner will play Lipscomb tomorrow. The 7-8 game, North Florida and Austin Peay are playing at North Alabama. And they will play the winner of that game tomorrow. So it's a neutral game for both teams. These totals have been bet down in both games. Now we're in conference tournament games. Now it's time to ratchet up the defense. The possessions become a little slower at the end of games. So both totals were bet down. I'm not, my totals are right. They're a little higher. My total almost says I should bet them both over, but I'm not going to. I made both games pick, but North Florida does have revenge, so I made them 2.5. They are 3. I don't have a play on either game, but we can take this as a learning experience that we know all conference tournament games are going to be bet down. So if you want to get down early on games you like under, that's the best thing to do. If you like them under, get down early because they're going to move 2 to 3 points to the under.
So you brought up North Florida having revenge from this year. Of course, they lost at home 97-89. I looked back at last year's conference tournament, and they lost in the first round to Austin Peay. So they've kind of got double revenge there. But it looks like bettors agree with me now all the way at 3.5, which it was 2 earlier. So that's way too rich.
Yeah, they're betting that because of the revenge for North Florida. I think these two teams are very equally matched, and Austin Peay is not going to take them for granted. That's what we're kind of hoping when we give revenge. But there's so much meaning in this game. North Florida wants to win and move on and play North Alabama tomorrow. These teams know if they run 4 straight wins off, they're going to the NCAA tournament. So, or Austin Peay. Austin Peay wants to win. As badly as North Florida does. So it's hard for me to give him a home revenge. I may look to take Austin Peay here plus 3.5. I'd have to see how they're playing and make sure that all of their guys are playing as well.
Well, we'll let you check that. We're going to take a 1-minute break. And then when we come back, we've got hockey to go through, and then stick around still because we do have our whiteboard plays coming very soon. 1-minute break for us here.
South Point Casino has plenty of attractions for the whole family. Catch a movie. Our 16-screen movie theater includes 2 XD Extreme screens for the ultimate in viewing, sound, and luxury. After the show, treat the family to a variety of treats at our old-fashioned ice cream parlor, Kate's Corner. We scoop up a variety of creamy concoctions, including smoothies, hand-dipped cones, milkshakes, malts, sodas, and sundaes. At Kate's, there's something for everyone. And if you've still got time to spare, our bowling center might be right up your alley. Voted Best of Las Vegas, it's a great place for friends and family fun. 64 lanes, a pro shop, snack bar, and arcade. And while the kids are bowling, you can play slots and sip on a drink in the Alley Cat Lounge while overlooking the lanes. For our more serious and professional bowlers, the South Point is also home to a separate tournament bowling plaza.
Welcome back, everybody. Sports by the Book. We are live from the South Point studio. Sunday, March 2nd, conference tournament starting today in the A-Sun and 2 weeks away from Selection Sunday. If you missed the show, we did start at 9 a.m. You can go back and rewatch it after. We're going to go through some hockey games right now and then give our whiteboard plays. I'm Alex White alongside Kenny White, as always, on Sundays, Mondays, and Tuesdays. So thanks for being here with us. Let's go through our hockey games, see if we have any plays. Hockey's been very good for us. Yesterday, using our sheets, I'm at 5-1. Thursday had a couple winners, a couple overs, as well as Wednesday too, and even have found some value with some underdogs. 3-0 with underdogs yesterday. So let's see if we can keep that going, if we have any differences or even scheduling spots for us in hockey. So first one on the board, Toronto and Pittsburgh.
Well, they just dropped the puck in that one. That one just started. South Point, Alex, open 185, no movement, 6 under 15. They closed 6.5 under, so maybe a small bet to the under in that game.
Pittsburgh is playing on a back-to-back here. We'll have their backup goalie. So I do think that number is right for Toronto. It was a lean to the Maple Leafs, even at that high price. But yeah, 6.5. We've got it right there at 6.5. So we had nothing in that one anyways.
Yep, think the number's right. Toronto has won 4 in a row, 3 in a row on the road. If you add that in, add 20 cents in, you can make Toronto 215. But at 185, you don't want to really lay that price. I would just pass. You're right. Boston at Minnesota, this one goes at 12.37. And the South Point Open $1.40. Bet up to 150 on the home team, Minnesota. 5.5 under 15, the total.
Finally, a normal number on the Minnesota Wild. The last 2 games they've just been getting crazy plus prices, and the bettors were right. Minnesota lost both of them. Now they've lost 3 in a row. Boston coming off a back-to-back from Pittsburgh now to Minnesota. They got the win yesterday, and they won the first matchup 3-0. I lean to Boston here. Our number is not quite that high on Minnesota. It's minus 130, but that would make it plus 130 on the other side, right? So really no difference for us.
You can find a 140. There's a 140, and there's plenty of 135s in the market. If you like Minnesota, the best number in the world's at the South Point, minus 150.
Very good. Total wise, 5.5. We're right there as well. So lean to Boston at that plus 140. Kind of going against Minnesota with their losing streak as well.
A lot of money for Carolina today. Opened up 250, bet up to 320. The total is 6.
So both of these teams are coming off of losses. Carolina lost to Edmonton, kind of a get-right game. They really needed it, the Oilers, after falling 4 in a row before that one. Calgary coming off a loss as well, from Florida to Carolina, playing on back-to-back for the Flames. What's our number at? Where are we? 216. So we're leaning to taking the Flames here, and that juicy price. It's about 50-cent difference.
You can get 260 at the South Point, but I see 265s. I do see some 270s in the market.
A better play would probably be the under, though, going under 6 here. We have it much lower at 5.5 under, minus 125. Both of these teams trending under, especially Calgary. 5 straight unders and 4 straight road games have gone under. How are our medians looking? Do those match as well?
Yeah, well, Calgary's matches, they lose 3-2 on the road, but Carolina wins 4-3 at home. Both their median total for the year home and away is a 6, but Calgary has gone under 5 straight games and 4 straight road games. So I agree with the under 6.
Under 6. Can we take that puck and a half at plus 105?
Yeah,
maybe
you could.
that's a better play too. Liking the under, it's kind of correlated. The Flames hang around in that one, and you're getting a plus price.
Yeah, you could
there.
definitely do that. You could definitely do that. No doubt about it.
Another under for us in this next matchup. Except for, okay,
Yeah,
we're actually going to
Dallas
stay
opened
away from
250.
this.
Okay.
Because look at the Stars and their over trend. They've been putting a lot of goals in their last few games. They've won 4 at home straight, and all of those have gone over. They've also gone over 6 straight games. So I need to double check and adjust my Dallas Stars total there, because we've got it 5.5.
So current form. Dallas is an under team with Jake Ottinger, and they're a good defensive team. But right now, current form, their offense is clicking and they're scoring goals, obviously, by 6 straight overs. And St. Louis has their backup goalie in. So, yeah, I would pass on that.
Okay. And, yeah, you're right, because if you look at their medians at home, it is 3 and 2. So current form is a good way to say that. Okay, Nashville's playing on a back-to-back as well against the Rangers.
And they'll go with their backup goalie. The Rangers open $1.85. We're bet down to $1.65. Money's coming in against them. They have some injuries now. They got 2 or 3 really good players out of the lineup, New York does.
We do have them a little bit higher, too, minus 180. Nothing to really jump in here at that minus 165. But the Predators are, easy for them, right? Islanders yesterday, Rangers today. So not really any travel there.
Yeah, no travel.
Did lose 7-4, though, so they will be trying to play hard in this one. Total-wise, numbers right there at 6. So
they've lost 5 straight, and the Rangers have gone under 5 straight home games now. And the Predators' median score on the road is they lose 3-2. So they play really low-scoring road games. I would be happy to bet the under here, plus a nickel, under 6, plus 105, and I think you can get that readily available almost anywhere.
I like that. I agree. They've lost 5 road games because they actually did have a big win at home against Winnipeg just the other day.
Yes, they did. 5 straight road games. So I won't figure that in and force a bet on the Rangers just because of the injury factor. The last game being played here in Las Vegas at the T-Mobile, Golden Knights opened up $1.55, bet to 165. This total was bet down, though, Alex, 6 under 20 at the South Point to 5.5 over.
Well, if you're looking at Vegas and their median at home, it is score 3, give up 2. We've got it 5.63, so we would have been under that 6 as well, but nothing here at the 5.5. And I agree with the movement on the Knights at home. I think we might have some revenge. We do have some revenge for the Devils, and that was a pretty recent game. February 6th, the Knights went to New Jersey and beat them 3-1. So that would take us off of Vegas as well. So two plays.
Two plays.
Taking the puck in a half with the Flames, plus 105. And then I do like that under as well for the Preds and the Rangers, under 6, plus 105.
I like the Carolina under 6 as well, though.
Yeah.
Because of Calgary's lack of scoring, and they've gone under. They're not scoring right now. We're hoping they keep it very low and defensive when we're taking the puck in a half. So kind of protecting ourselves. If Calgary doesn't score in the game, it could go under. Oh. And if their defense holds up, maybe we can win a 2-1, 3-2 game.
So they are 29th in goals for at 2.6 average per game, and they are 14th, though, in goals against. So defense is their identity for sure. 1 minute break. Everybody stick around. On the other side, we will reveal our whiteboards with our best plays of the day.
Get ready to laugh with Punchlines with Frank Nicotero. Join Frank and his team of featured guests for your daily dose of comedy.
Reno, the Pittsburgh of the West.
Poison.
Yeah.
Poison.
Sports.
F for Falcons, Alex. We were talking Derek Carr for MVP after 2 games.
Who's we?
Okay, me. I was.
And the funniest social media posts.
People want to show off their food. Boom. Wiener on a guy's shoulder. It's the Dark Colts. We bleed blue.
It's your one-stop spot for great laughs and a good time. Find us on YouTube at Punchlines FN. And join the chat live weekdays at noon Pacific for the ultimate blend of jokes, sports, and viral fun.
Checking back in with the chat. Thank you so much for being here with us. This is Sports by the Book, 7 days a week. You can find us 10 a.m. Monday through Friday, 8:30 on Saturdays to get you ready for all the college basketball, and then 9 o'clock here on Sundays. Remember, we have a lot of other great shows happening on the YouTube channel South Point Studio, Punchlines FN, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday at noon. I just saw Ralph Soraka. He said hello to everybody, Dad, including you. Make sure you check out his shows. Those are Wednesday through Sunday, right, Sean? Wednesday through Sunday, 7 a.m. And then we've got Gone Racing back every Thursday, so make sure you check out those as well. Again, thanks for being here with us. Just checking in with everybody. Again, I see Nick and JR and Joseph all in the chat as well. And JR will probably be back at the ballpark. College baseball. A lot of fun, the Las Vegas Classic. So if you are in Vegas, you need something to do today, go check out Illinois, Texas Tech, Texas, and Washington. Really fun tournament happening there. All right, that's enough of that. We've got to get to our whiteboard plays. I know off air we were talking about women's basketball. Tennessee is losing by 10 to Georgia. Kind of a big upset. They were a double-digit favorite, I think 20, if I'm not mistaken. Let's start there. Did you check that current number? Is there any in-game opportunity for us here with women's hoops?
Yeah, there could be. I didn't get a chance to look at it, but you're right. That's a big-name school like Texas down 8 right now. In the third, it's time to turn it on.
Is it Texas or Tennessee?
Tennessee.
Okay, I thought so.
Did I say Texas?
I thought you did, but maybe not.
It's Tennessee. I may have said Texas because I just wrote down Texas A&M on my whiteboard. that's probably why I had Texas on my mind. But let me look real quick and see what that in-game number is.
And I was just talking about
right now, Tennessee 4.5-point favorite to win the game. I'm going to lay it. I think they're going to come back. Hopefully, it'll go through. But yeah, they're a 20. They tipped off as a 27.5-point favorite, and there was money for Tennessee. Wow. It opened 25.5 at the Circa and was bet up to 27.5. So. Good spot for them, I think.
Okay, and Georgia just came out hot. We'll see 3-12 in conference play for the Georgia Bulldogs, so they might not have enough in the tank to finish this out, but hoping for your in-game bet that they do not, and Tennessee comes back to win that one. Any other women's basketball games that you have looked at already that you have for us?
Yeah, I put them on my whiteboard. I got two on my whiteboard for the women's for you. Virginia plus 15.5. They're playing North Carolina today. North Carolina is coming off a loss to Duke in the Tobacco Road rivalry game. So I'm not sure. That could be a flat spot for them. It is a loss, but I think they'll be happy to win the game. It's the last game of the year, I think. Then they're on to the conference tournament. Also, Texas A&M I wrote down. I laid 4.5. With Texas A&M today. They are hosting Arkansas. Like them in that spot. I didn't get to write them down yet, but the two games in Vegas today should be softball games. Illinois plays Texas. That's an 11 o'clock start. The total is 19.5. I went over there. And then the second game, Texas Tech and Washington State. Texas Tech and Washington. That total also 19.5. I went over there. Wins out to center field 25-35 all day long for both of those games.
We know that.
And then, Alex, I have 3 games on my whiteboard for college basketball. One under St. Peter's and Marist under the 122.5. And then the 2 Missouri Valley games that I talked about over, Valpo and Illinois Chicago over 154.5. Murray State and Belmont over the 151.5.
Very good. That number must have just moved. So I'll start right there because I do have the same 3 totals with you. I'm going to be rooting for points in those meaningless games later on in the day. And then I have St. Peter's and Marist under. I hope none of these games started because I am going to go put in a nice little 5-team round robin here. I've also got Fairfield taking the points plus 6.5 and Northern Iowa plus 4 against Bradley, or 4.5 because that number just keeps moving. And I'm going to put that in right after this show. So that's it for me. And then I've got 3 hockey. I am taking the puck and a half with the Flames, also going under that 6. And then I am going under 6 in the Nashville Predators and the New York Rangers game as well. That one was plus 105. So that's it for us for today. Thanks, everybody, for being here. 20 minutes over. Andrew, Sean, thank you so much for hanging out and keeping us on air. Thank you, everybody in the chat. Thank you. Please like, share, and subscribe, and send our show to friends so they can join us throughout the week. We'll be back here tomorrow, 10 a.m., both of us here at the desk at the South Point studio. For Kenny White, I'm Alex White. We'll see you again tomorrow.